Am I the a-hole for giving my daughter condoms behind my wife's back? My 43M daughter, 15F, started dating a boy, 15M, she likes. He is a sweet boy. My wife, 43F, and I like to keep our kids feeling safe enough to tell us anything. It is harder for them to tell her stuff, so sometimes I compensate for that. One day, my wife was coming home late. My daughter came to my room and asked if she could talk to me about something. I could tell she was nervous and embarrassed. She told me that she wanted to do something with her boyfriend, but she doesn't want to get pregnant and that she doesn't know how to start things. We had a long conversation about this. We talked about everything regarding sexual activity. And I'm glad I did because I realized how little she knew about some stuff. She didn't realize that boys can be uncomfortable too, how consent is very, very important. She didn't know how to know her safer days, hygiene, how being mature about it, etc. I gave my daughter condoms, advised her to buy others if these weren't fit, and told her to stay careful and safe. She smiled and thanked me. That night, I was talking with my wife when I mentioned our conversation. She was confused and said that she felt this conversation was very inappropriate. We argued for a while, but I didn't want to keep on arguing, so I joked about how we are short of condoms, so maybe we will have a baby. She was confused. Then she realized that I had given some condoms to our girl. She was mad at me for giving her condoms and the green light to have sex without asking her. I felt like I was wrong for not asking my wife, so I apologized. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that life doesn't stop for others because hers isn't going well? I have 3 kids, and my daughter, 27F, hasn't had the best luck in her romantic life. She's gotten cheated on many times, and her previous relationships were unhealthy. I also believe she's in a toxic relationship with her current boyfriend. She didn't bring him with her, but she was allowed to bring a friend. My nieces and nephews, along with my other kids, are all happily married, some starting their own families. It was my sister's birthday recently, and she and her husband had planned the trip for the family. She helped with expenses if needed, but for the most part everyone paid for themselves. My daughter was the only one going by herself. We did things as family, but there were times when we split up to do something with just our partners. So sometimes my daughter was by herself, or basically being a third wheel. At the end of the trip, my daughter complained to me how she hated going on the trip. That she felt like it was a cruel joke that she was there by herself, and that the others should not show affection to their partners when she was around. This is not the first time she complained about something like this. She's done it after holidays and birthdays as well. I'll admit I'm tired of my daughter complaining about this. So, I told her that just because her life isn't going well doesn't mean others will stop living theirs. She hasn't talked to me since, and that was almost 2 weeks ago. My husband is on my side, but I'm worried I'll lose my daughter. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for informing the school of family with students going there moved out of district in order to make room for my child? My children and I moved into a new school district last year. Although we live very close to a great school, we were sent to attend another school in the district because the desired school was at capacity. I was informed right before the school year that my 2 children were next to be enrolled. The housing issue has slowed movers down to a near halt, and we aren't really living in an area with frequent movers anyway. I found out that a family moved out of our district to our inner city, but I was also informed the students were still attending the school in my district. I don't know the family, but I don't blame them. The inner city schools are terrible and problematic at best. However, our district is not open enrollment, and they should no longer be attending the school. I called the principal and board of education to make a report, and I was finally informed last week that my children will be attending our local school, and I breathed a sigh of relief. They will start next week, and this will be a huge burden lifted for our household. The issue comes from the family that needs to pull their children from school. They found out I made the call and informed me that while I was doing what's best for my child, I was greatly harming all 4 of theirs. Apparently, one of their children is autistic and thriving with their school. Turns out, 3 of their kids attended the school I wanted, but one of them attended a special school for autistic children. They said he went nonverbal, to now telling his mom I love you. I felt terrible when they said that, but I also didn't make them move. They did that on their own. They have been telling people about it, and of course they think I'm heartless. Some have said I'm an a-hole, but I wanted to see if I mishandled it. So, am I the a-hole here? Am I the a-hole for not helping my sister with her new baby, which caused her to have a mental breakdown? My sister gave birth 3 months ago. Her husband works a lot and uses that as an excuse to not be a parent at all. She should have seen this coming because he didn't cook or clean before the baby was born, so I'm not sure why it's surprising that he's still the lazy man that he was before. Her baby never sleeps and has some minor health issues. It's a boy and he has an ear infection right now. Our parents live across the country. They wanted to retire in Florida. My sister doesn't have any friends because she's incredibly hard to get along with. So, when the baby was coming, she expected me to throw a baby shower, which I didn't and got chewed out for by our parents, and she's been constantly asking me to come over and help her. She says she's overwhelmed with the baby and her health issues. I work full-time, have a husband and friends, and I don't want to go over there and play maid and babysitter for a sibling I don't really care for. I don't like kids at all either. I'm very child-free. I suggested our parents go and stay with them to help out, but my brother-in-law said he doesn't want them staying in his house. They can't afford an Airbnb or flights. My sister admitted herself to the hospital, which caused her to get Baker-acted and sent to a psych facility. Her baby is with her husband, but he plans on dropping him off at his parents' till my sister gets out of the hospital. My parents are nonstop chewing me out for not helping her, but I just don't understand why they think I would spend my limited free time cleaning her house or child mending. I know if the roles were reversed, she wouldn't help me. I normally have a decent relationship with my parents. We see each other at holidays, so having them yell at me has been kind of annoying. Am I the a-hole? My whole life my sister has been the type to always need help from others but never offer any, so maybe I'm biased.
Am I the a-hole for making my husband leave a wedding reception with me? My husband, 34M, and I, 32F, have been married for 8 years and have 2 kids, 6 and 4. I am currently 7 months pregnant with our 3rd child. This has been, by far, my worst pregnancy. Overall health-wise, me and baby are fine, no major issues, but the general fatigue and discomfort of being pregnant while also having 2 other kids to take care of is wearing on me. I've also had more nausea and terrible heartburn. As a result of me being tired literally all the time, my husband has had to take on a lot of additional household and childcare duties. He's been great about it and things are still running smoothly even though I can do about 1/3 of the household and kid stuff I usually do. This past weekend we attended a wedding for one of my friends from college. My husband knows a lot of people in this friend group, and he was really looking forward to some adult social interaction. The wedding was a 3-hour drive from our place, so he got his parents to babysit and booked a hotel so we wouldn't have to drive home and could enjoy the reception. I felt fine all day up until halfway through the reception, but it was like I hit a wall energy-wise and started getting terrible heartburn. My husband was off mingling with people while I pretty much just sat at a table for over an hour talking with whoever came by to say hi. My husband came over to check on me and I told him that I wasn't feeling well and wanted to leave. He asked if I would be comfortable taking the shuttle back to the hotel by myself so that he could stick around and keep socializing. I told him I want him to come back to the room with me in case I start feeling worse so that he can take care of me. He didn't protest or argue with me, but he did give a big sigh in the "ugh, okay fine" kind of way. When we got back to the room, I was so exhausted that I fell asleep immediately. He was short with me all morning as we were getting ready to leave, a lot of one-word answers kind of stuff. On the way home I asked him what his deal was, and he said he's frustrated that I made him go back to the room with me only for me to fall asleep. He said if he knew I was just going to fall asleep, he would have stayed at the reception for longer. He said that this was the first social interaction he's had in months, and with the new baby coming, will probably be his last social interaction like that for months again. I told him that I didn't make him come back with me, I just told him I wanted him to in case I felt worse. I also told him my health should be his priority over any social event anyway. He said that wasn't really giving him a choice because if he stayed, even if I fell asleep right away like I did, I would still hold it against him that he chose wrong. He said he was just enjoying behaving like an adult instead of a dad for one night and he's allowed to be frustrated that was cut short. It might just be hormones, but his attitude is making me feel guilty about this. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she is part of the reason for my divorce? This started about 6 months ago when my wife, let's call her Emily, 42F, was out of town on a business trip and I, 43M, was taking care of my daughter, 14F, let's call her Erica. During that trip Erica was hanging out with a few friends after school and got caught by their parents smoking weed. They notified me and obviously I was pretty livid. I was devising my punishment and part of that punishment was her having to explain to her mother about what happened. When she called my wife to tell her, instead of saying what she had done, she lied and said she came home to another woman at our house. I think this was an attempt to get out of trouble and has instead created a massive rift between me and my soon-to-be Emily. Erica did eventually admit to lying about me cheating, but Emily has refused to believe the revision and has zero trust for me now. She has demanded to prove I am not cheating, has looked through my phone multiple times, was looking at my credit card transactions, and even demanded I allow her to track my phone, which I refused. After a few weeks of this, I changed my passwords to my credit cards and phone, and things have been extremely tense ever since. Emily refused to trust me or work on our issues. Last week, I gave Emily papers for divorce because I am not going to live with someone that refuses to trust me or works on it at all. When we told Erica we were getting a divorce, she was notably upset. She said something about it being all her fault, and I responded with a little bit. Not my proudest moment, and I mostly blame Emily, but Erica started us down this path. Emily called me an a-hole and said it is my fault, which I don't understand, and Erica was even more upset after the comment. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I have never cheated before. She has had previous partners cheat, but that was 15 years ago. As some have mentioned, no, we were not perfect, and maybe I didn't realize how bad things were.